Daniel 7, Rachel 29, Olivia 6, Josephine 7, Anna 6, Dylan 6, Dawn 47, Madeline 6, Catherine 6, Chase 7 years old, Jesse 6, James 6 years old, Grace 7, Anna Marie 52, Emily Parker, Jack 6, Noah 6, Carolyn 6, Jessica 6, Avalia 6, Lauren 30, Mary 56, Victoria 27, Benjamin 6, Allison 6. May we all reflect on that and hope that nothing like that happens again. And we pray in your name. Amen. Commissioner Harvey will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please join me as we honor our nation's flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can we please have the roll call?
Commissioners Diana Cook,
Present.
Cassandra Harvey,
Present.
Raj Mali,
Present.
Sandy Smith, here. Vivian Torossiano,
Here.
Vice Chairman Randy Hall,
Here.
Chairman James Vos, absent. We have a quorum.
Our first item is public business from the floor. If an individual is unable to stay through the entire meeting due to extenuating circumstances, a total of 10 minutes is provided at this time, during which input may be given regarding agenda items. Individual speakers are limited to 2 minutes each. Any person that would like to address the Planning Commission on any agendaized item is requested to complete a speaker card for the recording secretary and identify the agenda item you would like to discuss. Each person will be given an opportunity to address the Planning Commission at the time such item is discussed by the Planning Commission. Speaker cards are available at the rear of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Mr. Ludicky, do we have any early speakers?
No, we do not, Mr. Vice Chairman. One other item of business that we should probably take care of, a motion to excuse Chairman Vos from the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. All those in favor?
Motion passes 6-0. Oh, wait a minute.
Same. It's always in the
6.
yes position.
Okay, 6-0.
Thank you, Mr. Ludicky.
I think it's sticking.
Is it sticking?
Yeah, everybody else just revoted.
There we go. It's technology. That's our new Windows program. Next item of business is uncontested public hearing. An oral staff report will not be presented if, 1, no one in the audience wishes to speak in opposition to the item to be heard, 2, the applicant has received the staff report and agreed to abide by the conditions recommended in the report, and 3, the members of the commission wish to waive the staff report. The chair will then entertain a motion to act on the item. First item on the agenda is consent calendar for the approval of minutes from the regular meeting of October 15, 2012. Do we have a motion and a second on this item?
I'll make a motion that we approve minutes from October 15, 2012.
As amended?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes. One abstained by
Yes,
Commissioner.
5-0 with 1 abstention.
Item number 2 is a new public hearing on conditional use permit requested by Investment Concepts Clock Storage Plaza Limited Partner to construct a 77,110 square foot self-storage facility with the office in the CPD Commercial Plan Development Zone. The public hearing is now open on the matter. Let the record reflect that we have received an uncontested letter from the applicant agreeing to all conditions. Mr. Ludicky, do we have any speakers?
I have no speakers on this item, Mr. Chairman.
So, since we have no speakers, if the Planning Commission so wishes, we will waive the reading of the staff report. Okay, we will now close the public hearing on this meeting and open up the commission discussion and/or entertain a motion.
I move that we adopt resolution number 12-25, approving conditional use permit number 12-07.
Is there any more discussion? Okay, then let's vote. It is appropriate then to close with, okay, I already got it. It broke. That one over there is working.
Motion passes 6-0.
Item number 3, General Plan Amendment Number 12-03, Zone Change Number 12-03, and Conditional Use Permit Number 12-12, Public Hearing for Construction of a 1.5 megawatt photovoltaic solar generating facility in the Rural Residential 2.5 RR 2.5 zone. The public hearing is now open on the matter. Let the record reflect that we have received an uncontested letter from the applicant agreeing to all conditions. Mr. Ludicky, do we have any speakers?
I have a speaker's card from the representing the applicant, Mr. Chairman, and also we do have a piece of correspondence that you received dated November 28th, 2012, from Darren Prolks, I will say, indicating their concerns about the potential action which you received.
Okay, so then we should hear a staff report from Jocelyn.
Vice Chairman Vos and Commissioners, what you have before you is a project submitted by Sunlight Partners requesting a conditional use permit for the construction and operation of a photovoltaic solar energy generating facility in the rural residential zone. The existing general plan land use designation and zoning for the project site do not allow for the development of commercial-scale solar facilities. The project site would need to have the general plan land use designation and zoning changed in order to allow for the development of commercial solar facilities. Amending the general plan designation and zoning is consistent with the city's alternative energy goals and policies. The proposed project is a 1.5 megawatt renewable electric power facility consisting of rows of photovoltaic panels mounted on single-axis trackers. These photovoltaic panels would convert sunlight directly into electrical energy without the use of heat transfer fluid or cooling water. 3 inverter/electrical equipment pads would be located in the central portion of the project site. The proposed project would tie into the SCE distribution network via a 12 kilovolt transmission line located adjacent to the project site on Lancaster Boulevard. A chain link fence would surround the project site, and a 10-foot landscaped buffer area would be provided between the fence and the property line to screen the development from the surrounding land uses. The landscaping would be provided along 37th Street East, 38th Street East, and Lancaster Boulevard. No landscaping would be provided along the southern boundary, as an approved tentative map is located immediately south, and a block wall would be constructed in that location as part of any development of that map. Access to the project site would be provided via a gate on Lancaster Boulevard. Lancaster Boulevard would be dedicated at 42 feet from the center line, and irrevocable offers of dedication would be provided for 38th Street East at 32 feet from center line and 37th Street East at 50 feet from center line for the first 240 feet south of Lancaster Boulevard. The proposed project would generate environmental impacts during construction with respect to biological resources, geology and soils, and noise. Mitigation measures have been identified for all of these resources, and no significant impacts would occur. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the commission?
I have a question.
Mr. Traciano?
The letter that we received on this matter, those APN numbers, do they have anything to do with those approved tentative track maps that are highlighted on the aerial map that we just had up on the screen?
I do not believe so, but I cannot say for certain.
Okay.
Yes.
I have, it's not a question, it's more like concern regarding the chain link fence. If there's anything we can do little more attractive than that, like this to the public, because I drove up the other project and it doesn't look that attractive, you know. So I was wondering if there's anything else. I'm not requesting for like a brick wall, but a little bit more, something nicer than chain link.
In the past, we've asked that we put tubular fence up, like on the 3rd Street project, maybe just on the,
On at least the visible area of the Republic, you know, more visible area.
that's a condition that we could make in a motion.
Okay. Well, yes, in answer to the question, generally on our solar PV projects, most of which are out in the rural areas of the city, we have done chain link with landscaping along it. We've recently had one that was completed, which is the first one that's really been developed under our standards. We have had some projects closer in within the community that you reviewed that we did require, I believe it was tubular steel fencing along the perimeters of those that were approximate to existing residential.
So, yeah, it's, you know, it's just something like that, you know, I just want it to be, because it's going to be closer to the community. So.
I think that's what this letter is asking, is something more aesthetically pleasing, since it's going to be surrounded by residential. So I agree, Raj.
Is there a cost difference per square linear foot of chain link versus the tubular steel? Is it going to raise the cost that much? Or?
I'm not sure what the difference between tubular steel and chain link is. I'm assuming there would be a notable difference on block, masonry block versus chain link.
The block wall to the south, Ms. Swain was talking about, is that going to be constructed if the track map is approved for construction later, or is it going to be in chain link now, or is it just going to be open?
The block wall would be constructed if the tentative map gets constructed. It is approved, but they haven't moved forward with it. Right now, it would simply be a chain link fence all the way around.
All the way around. Is there any way we can, is the applicant present? Can we talk to us about your project?
Good evening, Vice Chairman, Commissioners.
Good evening.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Dustin Thompson.
Dustin Thompson. Thank you.
No problem.
Welcome.
So I understand the concern, and we are certainly willing to look into all solutions to try to figure out a more aesthetically pleasing solution along Lancaster Boulevard. I do not know the cost difference between the tubular fence versus the chain link fence. That would probably be a concern that we would want to look at, just because that's a question mark right now. One thing I'm just thinking of, to just throw that out there, is maybe increase the density of the landscaping across Lancaster Boulevard, so where it covers the majority of the fencing, and that might be cheaper than a proposal for a tubular fence. Something I was just throwing out there, but we certainly are willing to look at solutions to appease everyone and the residents.
Does the commissioners have any questions? If we conditioned this to include tubular steel on the Lancaster Boulevard side fencing, would that be objectionable, or?
I wouldn't say objectionable. It would be, something I want to.
Hi, my name is Craig Johnson. I'm the engineer for Sunlight Partners. We don't know, like Dustin said, we do not know the cost difference between the tubular fencing and the chain link at this point. The one thing I would ask is that since there are no, I know they're approved at this point, but we all know what the economic climate for building houses is right now. Instead of requiring the tubular fencing at this point, could we go with the chain link? And they're not talking just along Lancaster Boulevard. You're talking around the whole project, correct?
Well, I was thinking of more in the front, which would
Yeah,
be seen.
just the frontage.
Okay. So
That would be north-facing fence would be the tubular steel, and the south-facing fence eventually would be block wall.
okay. So I guess I misunderstood what we were talking about then. So it's just Lancaster Boulevard for the tubular fencing?
That was my understanding. Was that your concern?
That might.
That might be a good. Yeah, I don't think we'd have any issue with that.
Commissioner Traciano?
Did we required chain link on the K8 and 40th Street West or the 40th Street East project we recently approved?
That's correct. It was chain link.
Anything else for Commissioner Harvey?
Well, I guess my question is, are we going to mandate that it's just tubular, or allow the applicant to explore less expensive options that may also be suitable? Because there seems to be a little bit of reluctance as far as cost. And
Yeah, the reluctance is we don't know what the cost
Yeah.
is at this point. If we're going to have to agree to it right now, that would be very good if we could have a little leeway on exploring a few different options.
From the commission's viewpoint, we've been hit with people that have been concerned that it's going to look like a fenced-in prison and things like that. So I can understand Commissioner Molly's concern about having the front of the property look a certain way. So I would like to have one of our commissioners word the motion in such a way that we could explore other options to make it look better than chain link fence, if that's possible.
Yeah, we're fine with that.
Yeah, if it's just
I've got
So
another.
condition it, get approval from planning on our landscaping plan, something of that nature.
Ms. Swain, what would be required in the motion to make that accurate?
The motion would need to include what you want the fence to look like, tubular steel, or another suitable option, and any other changes you might want to
So
their
we could say,
conditions.
other suitable option?
I think that you'd want to add the aesthetically pleasing as well, because I think that's the whole point of this, so.
Yeah.
Correct.
One other thing I'd like to point out with tubular steel, the finish on that tubular steel is going to make a big difference as well as far as the longevity and aesthetics of the finish, paint versus powder coat. I know powder coating is going to last a heck of a lot longer than, paint.
So we need to have a requirement for aesthetically pleasing and last for sustainability.
One question, this may be not a real bright question, but you talk about additional landscaping around the perimeter. And, does that have an effect if you do a block wall or tall trees or something on the production of the actual solar project?
It would have, in terms of shading, it
Yes.
would have an effect in certain cases. We would have to have an engineer kind of look at the height of the wall or the height of the trees and determine the shading impact that it would have. But there have been cases where certain trees have blocked some of the panels and decreased the power output of the plant. Yeah.
Because if that's an option, that would have to be considered as well, I would think. And is it, would it be high enough to kind of hide that hole?
And then it would have to be maintained as well.
Well, the trees and the options, we have ordinances for that would,
Yeah.
and they're supposed to be kind of like native plants. And if we have too big of trees, then it's going to eat up too much water. So we want to make sure that it is sustainable in the plants and landscaping.
I think with any of the options with the fencing, I think the landscaping would just go hand in hand with it either way, because it could just be, even if you do tubular, it's like stark, it's there, it's, so I think just to kind of, look at those options, but
So the
experts.
tubular still would still have to have landscaping with it. It doesn't have to be tubular or just the aesthetically pleasing one, so.
Yes.
So is planning going to have the say when we come up with an option to who?
I don't want to, I see where you're going. I mean, I don't want to leave you up in the air and have this happen, but I'm not 100% sure how that's going to have to work. They're going to approve the fencing.
I would be comfortable with planning having that that authority to make that determination. I think it's pretty clear what, as far as I know, what we are looking for.
So yes, you would.
I
Okay,
agree with
that's,
Okay.
All right. Is there any other questions for our applicant?
that. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any other speakers on this, Mr. Ludicky?
No, Mr. Chairman, but I'd like to speak to this issue if I could, a
Please.
couple of things. I do have some draft language for you to consider, but from a staff standpoint, you also have to decide if this is something that you would like as a commission to review prior to a final okay on whatever treatment they do along Lancaster Boulevard. It can be brought back to you for your review, and that might be better because you're providing the direction as a commission for better aesthetics. You may want to be the body that actually reviews that.
I
Saying
believe.
you have no decorating skills, or?
Well, I'm going to get into that, but
I believe that's a wise idea. So your draft language you have there, how,
it would read, it would be in addition to condition number 9, which talks about installation of landscape planner, and it says the applicant shall investigate alternative approaches to the installation of chain link fencing to improve the aesthetic appearance along Lancaster Boulevard, and shall provide that to the commission for final review
thank you.
prior to installation. One thing to keep in mind, because there's a general plan amendment and zone change associated with this, they could not begin construction or any kind of work actually in the field on this until the city council takes action on the general plan amendment and zone change. So it's not a situation where you're going to prevent them from moving forward if they are able to return to you, say, at your January meeting, which happens to be on the 28th of January, with their proposal for dealing with the frontage along Lancaster Boulevard.
Would that be acceptable to the commissioners to?
I'm okay with that.
So we just wouldn't make the motion, we would just make the motion?
No, you could approve the project. You could approve
Right.
the or at least make a formal recommendation for approval on the general plan amendment and zone change. That would get sent up to the city council. You could approve the conditional use permit, but simply state that the final design of the frontage along Lancaster Boulevard is subject to the commission's review.
Okay.
That's something we have done in the past on other projects.
Can I just just kind of piggyback off that? Can we maybe add something, if we are okay, so if we research what the tubular fencing costs and we're okay with that, can we maybe put some language in there that say, hey, if we're good with the tubular fencing, then we wouldn't have to require the commission's approval?
Is that acceptable to the commission?
I think I'd still like to see it.
Yeah.
Because just not being super familiar with it and just,
We
if
have
that's-
put it.
yeah.
We have put it in projects that are closer into town, and we've approved it from this commission.
Well, I think what Brian was concerned with is, rather than him making the decision, he wanted it to.
Yeah, this is
Back to
an
us for
issue.
our review.
Yeah.
Well, I was just saying, if it was an alternative solution, then we'd have to come before you guys again.
Yeah,
But
I
if it
hear
was a
what you're
solution
saying.
that was already approved, like some of the other solar projects off, I think, K Street, then
I think he has a fair point there, is that we have approved it in the past for in town, closer in, and this will be the first time we've required it further out or more rural. And if the motion was, condition number 9 was set up, that if they do agree to the tubular steel, I agree with him. I think we shouldn't have to have him revisit, even if we wanted to approve it, since we've seen it before, and I think that would be a redundancy that we wouldn't have to do.
Certainly, if as a commission you're comfortable that the tubular steel gives you the aesthetic approach that you want, or whether it's tubular steel and some pilasters every so often, or whatever it happens to be, and enhanced landscaping, staff is comfortable enough with that direction in a condition to be able to administer it. But previously, just so you understand my reasoning, they asked for the ability to provide alternatives to that, which obviously you haven't seen and reviewed, we haven't seen and reviewed. In that kind of setting, I would rather that go back to you as a commission. So if they're willing as an applicant to accept a specific design solution, and you as a commission are comfortable with that, then staff is okay drafting the condition and administering that.
Okay.
But what they had asked previously was the ability to explore alternatives, and I think in that kind of discretionary setting, you as a planning commission really need to see that again. That's my feeling.
So the motion's getting longer now, right? From what I...
So
Okay.
sorry.
So I can see the applicant's point is if he's going to agree to something that we've already conditioned and required, and you find that it's cost-effective to proceed, then I think that as a commission we would owe them that vote. If he does explore an alternate thing and he wants to show us something else, then you would obviously have
I'd
to
have
come
to
back.
present it, yeah.
So I would like to see if we could come up with some language like that.
Give it a go.
Seem
So if I'm
reasonable.
understanding correctly the discussion, if they come back with a solution other than
The tubular
tubular steel, then it's going to require that to be brought forward to us.
That sounds fair.
Yeah. I'm good with that.
Okay?
Thank you.
Before we close discussion, have we heard from the Lancaster Baptist Church regarding this project one way or the other?
I have not, Brian.
I have not had any direct communication from them. My understanding is the applicant had some meetings with them. They may be able to shed more light on that.
I take that back. I did talk to Ben Hobbs at the counter, and he just wanted copies of the staff report and to look at the site plan.
So I can add some clarity to that. We've had a number of meetings with the Baptist Church and presented them our site plan and tried to get essentially their sign off, and they take a look. They looked at it and they gave some recommendations, and at the end they have approved essentially verbally our project to us. So
Thank you for clarifying that, Mr. Thompson.
thank.
Any more comments from the commission? No? So, any more speakers, Mr. Ludicky? I've asked that earlier, but no speakers?
No, Mr. Vice Chairman.
It is appropriate then to close the public hearing without objection and open up for commission discussion and/or entertain a motion. That's going to be a complicated motion, so... Well, for the first, this is...
This is the first one. The
Yes.
second one's the complicated. Make a motion to adopt resolution number 12-26, recommending to the City Council approval of General Plan Amendment number 12-03 and zone change number 12-03.
I second that.
I have a motion and a second. Let's vote. So now for, let's see,
Sitting on yes.
for the record, Commissioner Harvey has
Aye.
voted yes. And do it again, okay.
I think it took my resignation, Brian.
I always knew there was intelligence inside electronic systems. They know more than we think. Motion passes 6-0 on the resolutions for general plan amendment.
And conditional use permit, number 12-12. You have a motion for that? Yeah.
I have amended language for condition number 9, which I hope reflects the discussion. The first part of it regarding landscaping remains the same. It would be amended with the addition of language to state the applicant shall where did I lose that? The applicant shall install tubular steel fencing and enhance landscaping along the Lancaster Boulevard frontage, subject to review and approval by the planning director. Should the applicant propose a design solution other than this, such design shall be subject to review and approval of the planning commission. Does that capture, I think, what we discussed?
This captures the discussion that I thought, so now I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we adopt resolution number 12-27, approving the conditional use permit number 12-12. The approval of CUP number 12-12 is not valid until the effective date of the general plan amendment number 12-03 and zone change number 12-03.
As amended.
As amended.
Second that.
Any more discussion? Okay, let's vote. Commissioner Harvey.
Okay, for the record, it's always pushed in for yes.
Maybe it's Diana's that's doing it.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, taking Commissioner Harvey's statement as a yes vote on that, motion passes 6-0.
Director's announcements.
The only thing I wanted to bring to your attention is that per our discussion at the study session, staff does have several minor amendments. I'll call them minor because they're not the entire residential zone as you looked at for several months, that we will bring back to you at your January meeting to address accessory dwelling units and a couple of other minor things that we need to do in relation to the city's recently adopted housing element.
That meeting on Monday is a public meeting that's open to the public. And,
Yes, it is.
And we were discussing the minor things were like parking and
Yes, there were some things to do, particularly with accessory dwelling units, but we also have, as I said, Chun, 2 or 3 things that we need to cover as a result of things that we've committed to in the revised housing element for the city that was recently adopted.
Right. They would be implementation of specific actions in the previous housing element that we promised the state we would do.
Okay. Sounds like more work. Commission's agenda. The Planning Commission meetings of January 21st and February 18th, 2013 have been rescheduled due to the Martin Luther King Jr. Day and President's Day holidays to January 28th and February 22nd, 2013 respectively. Do we have any other items on the Commission's agenda?
Just a comment.
Commissioner Traciano.
I'd like to wish Chairman Vose a speedy recovery and look forward to seeing him soon.
Me too. Public business from the floor, non-agendized items. This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the Commission on any subject regarding city business. Under state legislation, no action can be taken on non-agenda items. Members of the public should be aware of this when addressing the commission regarding items not specifically referenced on the agenda. Please complete a speaker card for the recording secretary. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Mr. Ludicky, do we have any speakers?
I have no cards, Mr. Chairman.
This meeting is adjourned to the special meeting for agenda review on Monday, January 14, 2013 at 5:30 p.m. in the Planning Conference Room, Lancaster City Hall.